So in this video today, we're going to be taking a look at my brand new live looping rig. I'd like to say a massive thank you to both Big Al and Barry for all of their help in making this rig happen, as it would not have been possible without your expertise. If you're new around here, I'm Ben Rowlands. I post live looping videos every Tuesday and Thursday. So make sure you subscribe if you love live looping. It includes live looping performances and tutorials and all that good stuff. Now this is probably going to be a 3-part series. First video today showcasing the rig, then we're going to have some adjustments to make, and then finally I will showcase the rig in its final form. So make sure you subscribe so you do not miss a video and you can join me on the journey. We're almost ready to start putting the new equipment onto the new metal rig. We've just finished decommissioning the old wooden rig behind me here. This is super duper exciting. It's been months in the waiting, and this is the moment. There's been a few alterations on this new rig compared to my original rig. So on my first rig, obviously, we had one table that had the Allen Heath QU16 audio interface mixer desk on. Now that was a little bit of an inconvenience to take to gigs, as it was a separate table that was really heavy. So this time we've included a rack mount unit. So down in the rack mount, obviously I'm gonna have my my bass amps, my in-ears equipment, all previously stuff that was in the table with the Allen Heath. But this time I switched over to a rack mount audio interface that's going to be running through Ableton. So we're no longer going to be using the Allen Heath QU16. We're just going to use this new Behringer 1U rack mount audio interface through Ableton. I gave it a little go the other day and I'm pretty pleased with the Behringer. It seems okay. I have got a little bit of a glitch with it, mind, where on the gain on the 8th input knob seems to not really respond fully. If it's on 0, it still receives signal, so I'm going to have a look into that. Don't know whether it's a dodgy button or whether it's something wrong that I'm doing, but this is the plan for the new rig. So this front table's a new addition. Previously, when I was going to gigs, I was just taking like a bar stool with me and chucking my laptop on there, and then the kick pedal would sit under it. One, this was dead impractical for setting up because it was about 3 or 4 extra pieces we'd have to bring in individually and plug in and set up. But also, it was a high chance of somebody knocking it over and my laptop falling on the floor. Obviously, that never happened, but it always got knocked and almost happened. So with it being in a proper table, people will hopefully notice it a bit more and be a bit more sturdy so it doesn't fall over. So that's the plan on this table. That is the rack mount all set up. Everything's in there apart from the Sennheiser wireless routers for the guitar packs and the microphone. They'll go in at a later date. I just don't currently have the correct bracket. But we're going to head on over and start putting some of the instruments on and start figuring the best way to cable manage this rig. The first bit of kit I think we're going to go to mount is the Rowlands Hand Sonic. On my previous rig, this drum pad was kind of floating in the air a little bit. This time we're going to lay it flat, so we're going to be taking this bracket off. The reason behind laying it flat is because in transportation, it kind of knocked on the side of the van a little bit. So I don't really want that because it was scratching the Rowlands Hand Sonic. So this time it means it can just sit on the surface. And also the metal's a little bit awkward to cut, so it saves the awkwardness of trying to mount it in the air. So we're just going to chuck it down flat and keep it simple. So on this rig, I've got a new piece of equipment that I've never shown before. So back in summer, Native Instruments had 50% off their Complete Ultimate bundles, and I'd wanted Complete Ultimate for like ages and ages and ages. So I finally took the punt on it and I bought it, but in my bundle I got the Machina Jam. Now the reason I went for the Machina Jam bundle was because I hope to send some MIDI program changes and trigger some program changes with it. So instead of me having to select what song my Boss RC505 is on, then what sound my Hand Sonic's on, then what sound my Kemper's on, and then what sounds are being triggered from Ableton, now I just have to click one button on the machine to jam and it'll do a full program change on all the devices. So that's the plan there. And then obviously because I've now got rid of the Allen & Heath QU16, I need a mixer control surface so I can do some faders, because I now don't have any faders. I can use the machine to jam to do some faders and dabble about with the stuff like that. So that's why we've got the machine to jam coming onto this rig. So I've ran into a little bit of a problem. Well, it's not really a problem, but it's a bit of a awkward situation. So usually I have the kick drum situated over here to the left hand side of my setup. For some reason, the way it's sitting with this rig, I can't quite reach it as easy as I'd like. It's a little bit of a stretch and it's a bit uncomfortable. That could be because this table is currently a little bit higher than my other table and we are thinking about lowering it later on. But I've found a bit of a solution and I'm thinking about putting the pedal on the right hand side, so I'm now going to use the kick pedal with my right foot instead of my left foot. This technically probably makes more sense, so then I'm actually developing my right foot so I can actually play a normal drum kit if I ever wished. I'm sort of developing that muscle memory, so it probably makes more sense. Now what I'm going to do in order to, because on some tracks I do actually use the kick drum just on its own for some like stabs or whatever. So what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to look at a way to maybe MIDI trigger, or maybe get one of those Rowlands 1 pads so I can trigger some samples with my feet. It's going to sit on my guitar pedal board. That'll probably make it a little bit easier and quicker to set up, so it might actually work out well. So it's something I'm looking at sort of sorting out this problem. We got the last bit of equipment onto the rig, which is the Boss RC505. I think I'm going to call it a night though, as I need some additional cables in order to proceed, as I've found quite a clever way to get the MIDI clock out of the RC505, go through the audio interface and get it into Ableton. So if you want to see how I'm going to configure it, make sure you like and subscribe and click the notification bell so you get notified when I upload the next part. I've been Ben Rowlands. You can find me online at benrowlandsmusic.com. It's all about live looping here. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook and LinkedIn at Ben Rowlands Music. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in part 2.